Okay, so in this video, we're going to be going over some new reels that are going to be coming out in Japan for the JDM market. More than likely, they're going to be introduced at the Japanese fishing shows that happen in late January and early February. Now, in these reels, some of them will probably make their way over to us here in the United States, probably either at ICAST or the Bassmaster Classic. So let's begin. Okay, so let's start with the first reel, and the reel that I'm most interested in. And it looks like it's going to be called the Bantam MGL. Now, the Bantam, I believe, is one of the very first line of rods and reels that Shimano came up with way back in the day, probably before a lot of you guys were even born. And they've been trying to bring that line back starting last year with the rods. And it looks like this year they are coming out with the Bantam Baitcaster. And just by looking at it, it looks to be totally different than the current Shimano lineup. It looks to be squared and blocky. It reminds me of the E-Series CHRONARCH and CURADO and CITICA in the shape, especially the CITICA with that color. Now it looks to be higher in price from what I'm reading here. It's got high-end features like the micro module gears. It's got the MGL spool. It's got the new brakes, and it looks like the frame and palm side plate is going to be all one piece. So it looks like it's going to be pretty heavy duty and tough. And if you can take a look at that palming side plate, it looks really retro. I'm not sure about it in the pictures. It kind of looks dated, but I think that's what they were going for. Now, hopefully they'll bring this over to America. If they do, I'm going to predict that it's going to probably be priced in between the CHRONARCH MGL and the METANIUM MGL, because there's a big gap in between those two reels as far as price point goes. So let's cross our fingers there. Oh yeah, one other thing is I hope they make this out of aluminum. Okay, so the second reel I'm going to be going over, it looks like they are coming out with a new ANTARES DC, specifically made for heavy baits. So from the information that I read is that it's going to have a beefed up drag and a bigger spool for more line capacity, and I think the spool actually is going to go up to 38 millimeters as well. And from what I've read, they've given it a different DC braking system, and I'm really interested to see what they've done with that. Now, it looks like there's a couple of other changes, like the knobs are different, and it looks like the gear side cover, or the gear side plate, has a plastic piece there like the CURADO 70 does. So for all you big bait guys, this one might be one that you'd be interested in. Now I'm thinking it's probably not going to be as expensive as the regular ANTARES DC, but we're just going to have to wait and find out. Okay, so the next reel from Shimano, it looks like they are updating the Aldo Baron 50, and it looks like they are giving it the MGL spool and more than likely the new brakes. And they're actually, from the picture that I saw, they're calling it the Aldo Baron 30. So if that's true, that may hint at even less line capacity than it currently has, which is very little. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out in the casting performance, because the current Aldo Baron 50 casts really good already. Now hopefully they're going to give it micro module gears. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what other improvements or enhancements they've made to it, but I'm very looking forward to that reel, and I'm definitely getting that one when it comes out. Okay, so the big news as far as spinning reels go, it looks like they're coming out with yet another new Stella. They seem to update this reel every 3 or 4 years. They've kind of went with a all silver color, and the porting on the spool looks to be very conservative compared to the current one. I don't know what kind of new technologies or features they've added, but it's got to be something good if they're updating their top of the line spinning reel. Now, since these are so expensive, it's not something that I'm going to be looking to get because I don't like to use spinning reels anyway. But for all you spinning reel guys and Stella fans, you may want to look into this one. Now, I only have one picture here, and it looks like they're coming out with some kind of a Calcutta Conquest round reel, and it looks like it's going to have a pretty wide spool. Now, they already have a 3 and 400 size, so I'm not sure what this reel is going to be. Now, there were rumors that they were going to come out with a new Calcutta Conquest DC line to replace the old one, and I was really looking forward to seeing that. But that series was silver and this remains gold. So maybe it is a new DC model and maybe they're just keeping it gold. But I'm very interested to see what that Calcutta Conquest is. Okay, it looks like for all you budget guys that they're finally updating that old bass prize. They're giving it the new CAENAN CASITAS KS frame, and trying to figure out if they're going to be using the old brakes or the new brakes. More than likely, it's going to be just like the current KS, and if it's around 50 bucks, like the current bass rise, then I'm definitely going to get that and do a comparison between the two. Okay, so let's go over to the DAIWA camp now. They're coming out with a new ZILLION HD. I assume that's going to be the high capacity ZILLION. Now it's going to have the bigger ZILLION body, not the CT frame. And I don't see very many changes. I think they're going to update the spool material to the G1 duralumin. And it looks like the braking is going to look like the STEEZ and the old T3, which is an improvement in my book. So for all you DAIWA fans who are looking for a high capacity ZILLION, this one's for you. Okay, also from DAIWA, this is a big one for you round reel fans. Looks like they are coming out with a new Ryoga. Now, judging from the pictures that I see, it's going to be very similar to the old one as far as the looks go. Now, the only thing I can tell you that's new is that it's going to have the mag sealed technology. Now, I'm going to link a video in the description box to let you guys see this reel in action. It looks pretty slick, and I'm glad DAIWA updated this reel because the Conquest line from Shimano could use some competition. So this one is for you DAIWA round reel guys. Now it looks really nice, and it's got a black color to it instead of the silver. So I can't wait to see what the specs are on this one. Okay, also new from DAIWA is a spinning reel called the FREEMS. I'm not too familiar with DAIWA spinning, but it looks pretty nice. I'm not sure if this is for saltwater or freshwater, but judging from that STEEZ knob, this is probably a freshwater reel. And I'm not sure whether this is coming to America or not. Okay, now last but not least, we have a new spinning reel from Okuma that looks really, really nice. Looks pretty high end. It looks like it's going to be made of their proprietary what is it called? The C40 carbon or C40X. Yeah, it's similar to the Zion from DAIWA and the CI4 Plus. Now, the reason I'm bringing up this Okuma, I don't know if this is going to be released at the Japan fishing shows, but I have an Okuma spinning reel that I keep just for sentimental purposes, and some of you guys may be interested in this spinning reel. It looks really high end and really nice. Something to compete with the big boys from Shimano and DAIWA. Okay, so there you go. And I'm not saying that these are all the reels that are going to come out. I'm saying that this is what I've seen so far. and we still got about a month away before the show, so I'm sure a lot more things are going to be coming out on the internet as far as new reels and rods and whatnot. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks a lot, guys.